Tony has had a relationship with Fortissimo Films, who are a kind of independent sales agent, very kind of art house. And that was kind of a start of something, and we did a lot of films with them in the future. And it's really important to find those people in the industry, in this sort of broader international world, that are on the same page as you in terms of the kinds of things you want to make. So that was a really important relationship that came out of that film. And then actually Walking on Water went on to the Berlin Film Festival and won Teddy Award for the Best Feature Film, which was fantastic. We followed that up with Jew Boy, which is Tony Kraut's film. And he's another really interesting director that we work with a lot. And it's a film set amongst the Hasidic Jews in Bondi. It's very, very specific world, and a very, very gentle, beautiful film that he made. So this was like a featurette. It was 50 minutes. It wasn't a feature. It wasn't a short film. So it sat in a kind of really unusual space. It was Ewan Leslie's first big screen role, and he's just gone on to do amazing things since then. And also it just continued our relationship with Fortissimo, who really championed this film. And it was selected for Un Certain Regard in Cannes, which was just a huge honour. But I think the whole sort of festival thing is really interesting, because I was just in Melbourne last weekend at 37 South, talking to a whole lot of sales agents down there. And out of our catalogue, you know, that's quite a long time ago, that film, but almost all of them knew that film from that screening at Cannes. So that's the kind of impact that kind of break can give you, is that suddenly, you know, Tony Kraut's as a name and us as a production company, we're on the radar, which we hadn't really been much before then. Following on for that, we did Little Fish, which was with Cate Blanchett in the lead role. So with such a lead, there was a little bit more money required, more complicated deals, more risk. But I guess at the core of this film, and the reason that we did it, we chose to do it, was the writing talent behind it, which was Jacqueline Turski. This was her first feature film. And I think Jacqueline's probably one of the most sought after screenwriters in Australia at the moment. She is very hard to pin down. And we also had Rowan Woods attached. So Rowan had made some short films with Vincent, and he'd also made The Boys, which was just an absolute standout Australian feature. So we were very keen to work with him. So they were collaborating together, and again, this was, I mean, I think with Cate Blanchett in the lead, that really showed us that we could take things a little bit bigger, and we were able to get this into Toronto, which again is another really important festival if you want to make international sales. So that was fantastic for us. Followed this up with Tony Ayre's second film called The Home Song Stories, and again we were able to get fantastic cast with Joan Chen in the lead, and also with her attract international finance from within Asia. So it just changes things significantly once you can get that level of cast. And again, we were working with Fortissimo to sell internationally and select at Berlin and Toronto. So again, you know, we got a great run out of that film in terms of increasing our profile and just making the kinds of films that we wanted to make with someone like Tony, who's just an incredible talent. Following on from that, we did another film with David Caesar, Prime Mover, which probably didn't work so well for us, but was another chance to work with David and Ben, which we loved doing. And then in 2010, this happened. So this was David Michôd's first feature, and I think most people would know of it at least. And it marked a big turning point for us as a company, and I think for David as a director. So true to form, Liz really backed David on, he had made a couple of short films that were very well received in Sundance. And this script was something that we hadn't really done before. It was a crime story. It had really strong characters, a really strong narrative with high stakes, and it was culturally specific, I guess, in time and place, but it had enough genre elements to make it accessible to a worldwide market. And David, with his Sundance profile, had this kind of indie art house cred that kind of made it an attractive package, I guess. And Liz was able to kind of pull all this together and raise the finance for our first-time director. And, well, I guess you don't really know how a film's going to land, ever, even with what you think are all the best elements, because there's a lot that can go wrong at every step. But when it comes together, it can be really good for everyone involved. So this was David's first feature. He has just completed War Machine with Brad Pitt's company Plan B in the US. So he's a very sought-after director internationally, and you know, he's just had an amazing career since this film. Adam Arkapour was the cinematographer. That was his first feature film. Adam has also had an amazing career. Very difficult to get him back from the States now. But he shot the first series of True Detective over there, and he's just done the Assassin's Creed with Justin Kurzel in the US. The other thing that happened with this one is that our amazing cast all benefited from this film, I think. All increased their profile in the US, especially Jackie, of course. And look, we made this for a pretty low budget. I think it's really worth mentioning the budgets here, because when you're working in an independent world, it's important. You have to be able to make a film for a budget level. This was made for less than $5 million. You have to find the level where your financiers, whoever's investing, is going to feel comfortable with the budget level. But you also want to make something that's going to be able to compete with the rest of the world in terms of production values. And look, I can tell you that just about, I mean, every cent of that budget is on screen in Animal Kingdom. There's no fat. It was a very, very lean production, and the driving force was just to make something that was standout, and it worked, So again, it was just about picking the talent, getting them at the right time in their careers, and really just that collaboration that can be really magic at times, I think. And the final thing about this is that it won the World Cinema Jury Prize at Sundance in 2010. So that was fantastic, because out of that kind of profile, we were picked up by Sony Pictures Classic for US distribution. And if there's one thing that Sony Pictures Classic can do, it's run an Oscar campaign. And they just went into bat for Jackie Weaver. And if you think those Oscars just kind of happen magically, you are completely wrong. These are very, very strategic moves that a distribution company will do to ensure that they have someone in that nomination list. There is a lot of money spent and a lot of time and effort put into it. So, of course, for Jackie and the film, it was amazing. I mean, she just had this amazing career then in Hollywood, from being this kind of very well-known, mostly stage actress here that we have known for our whole lives, to being this Hollywood superstar. It was just amazing. But that's the kind of thing that can happen when it all comes together. We followed that up with The Hunter. So this one was based on a novel by Julia Lee, and Vincent had been chasing the rights for a while. It was set in Tasmania, which was this beautiful, unique world that hadn't really been explored in cinema. It had thriller elements, it had great characters and moral dilemmas, and it had a hook to the hunt for the extinct Tassie tiger. And there was a lot of interest in this property at the time. A lot of people wanted to option this novel. It had fantastic reviews. It had sold well here, in the UK, in the US, and all throughout Europe in translation. So we knew that there was an audience for this. And director Dan Natheim was also chasing the rights. So we kind of got together and decided to join forces. And I guess we felt too that in order to get the rights to this book, we really had to outpitch our competitors, because I don't think we were going to be able to outbid them in terms of funds. And we did win that, and we were able to win the trust of the author and make the film. We were also, following on from Animal Kingdom, we were in a space where we could go out to bigger cast. So we could send a script to Willem Dafoe's agent and it would actually get through and he would read it. And he did. He loved the film and he wanted to be involved. So that was fantastic. And it didn't have huge box office here in Australia, but DVD and digital have done extremely well. It did go to Toronto, to the film festival there, and South by Southwest. We had great sales there, and Magnolia in the US picked it up, and they have done a fantastic job. It had a very small theatrical release in the US, but with Willem Dafoe in the lead, you just get this amazing video on demand. VOD numbers in the US have been fantastic, really, really good. And ultimately, you know, we want the film to be seen and we want the money to be flowing back to our investors. So while it'd be great to be on huge screens everywhere in the US, in terms of the financial rewards that came from Magnolia, you know, that was a much better strategy. So.